Hello, my friends, loud guys. It's nice to come back to talk to you again after 20 years break. So I know a little bit about the industry, and I want to share something about the future of the veneer and the plywood. As everybody know that wood is good. Wood is the only construction material which could renewable, sustainable, and degradable. And the plywood industry is relatively long, which is the longest of the wood-based panels. The plywood was already invented over 100 years ago, and it has a very high value for social and economy. In China, the plywood is actually the biggest in the world. Everybody talk about China plywood. These are the curve about the China plywood production. From the state statistics, it is growing very fast, but my own data on the low curve is the very, I feel is quite logical and existed in the plywood industry in China. If you visited about China, these are China map. And although China plywood zone developing from the first in the Zhending area, then in the Zhegezhuang area, then in Jiashan near Shanghai, and also the biggest location is in Linyi in Shandong province. Then is in the Pizhou in Jiangsu province. Also come in the Zhangzhou in the Fujian province. Then it is the Nanning area, which is now the hottest, and also most plywood was made in Nanning now. The new area was developing is about in Siyang, between the Jiangsu and Anhui province. So these are the really we call the plywood cities about in China. Now I would like to tell you about the changes in my experience. Let's go one by one. Change one, the big logs to the plantation small ones. In the previously, the big logs was about my size also. Now it's becoming for the small ones, the poplar, the eucalyptus. As the raw material change globally, and also the new technology change, so from the different species, and also from the different new adhesive environmental free ones. So how can we make money out about the plywood? And also the species, especially in Asia area here. The new species for broadleaf, the poplar, eucalyptus, acacia is the main species exist, and also the conifers about different pine trees. Why these species also nowadays used for the veneer and the plywood? Because they are very good raw material and only raw material now we can use with woody textures for the surface. The second change about those small logs, how to make the recovery out. The traditional logs, the diameter of the core is between 140 to 160, but nowadays the small logs, the core is only about 30 millimeters. How to make the big changes? Do we use the spindleless lathe, or we can use the triple spindles? Which one works better? I think different people, different location, different company have different ideas. When they exist, I think they have done reasons. Next, I would like to talk about something technical, about the knife angle. I know that Raute's machine knife angle can be synchronized, changing according to diameters. But my question is that, can the knife change based on the both log diameter and hardness? In that case, we can make increase the more full sheet and also decrease the checks. In that case, also we can make a much better or smooth veneers out. About the change 3, efficiency. As the labor cost, log price, transportation, auxiliary prices getting higher and higher. So efficient is the must. Which way means efficient? So for the loud people, for our machineries, we have very automatic lines, And also for some traditional, also developing countries, the line is totally different as you can see from here. So which one is more efficient? Which one is more low costy? I think both of the plywood companies and the low technical guys, which they think about it, which they used to it for the different countries, or different raw materials for different companies to use. And which way is efficient and why? Now this picture is about composing and patching. When I say it was only in this way, and in that time in China, these pictures, and also in some other Southeast Asian countries, not works in some other places, other countries is. And also about the veneer patching and the layup. Only the labor-intensive, diligent people, they can work in this workshop. About scarving. The scarving have a very good machine, has a lot have delivered. But this kind of low automation, like they call semi-automation anyhow, but also works in some areas, some countries, some companies well. And about the composing in reality is really labor intensive work, and it's very skillful people. They can do the job only. About the workshop, the layout as you can see here, it is kind of labor intensive workshop, only possibly in those countries, the low cost of the labors, diligent and well organized, they can be exist. The change 4 about the productivity. Now the raw material getting more narrow, the diameter getting smaller, but the product requirement on the market side, they are getting wider. They ask for different color, different carbon pattern, different wood species. How can we supply? How can we meet the requirement? So about the plywood industry, I think the spring might be coming when the plywood can be used for the cabinet. Plywood replaced by the particle board and MDF, it is possible, because in China we have experienced that when we export the high quality cabinet, we use the plywood. When the trade barrier stopped, the plywood capacity was dropped dramatically. So also later on, also in domestic market, when the cabinet can be used for plywood to replace the particle board, then the spring time is coming for plywood. But change 5. In reality, nowadays on the market side, the MDF and also OSB is to replace the plywood, because this traditional plywood production is decreased because of raw material change, and also replaced by the thin, about 2 millimeter to 3 millimeter MDF, and also OSB, when like application for the concrete shuttling. Nowadays, most of them are used for plywood, but also now on the market side, they're also changing time by time, use other panels. Change 6, the profitability. It is known that all the plywood product can be sellable in the market, especially nowadays. This year and this time is a very good market. Whenever you can make it out, they are waiting for you. But the question is, can the plywood mills make money? And where those mills are making good money? This is a very good question to think about for all our plywood men. In order to make money, we should have a good market, like in China. So the relatively comfortable life, what we feel for the 1.4 billion people domestically. Now we are changing the lifestyle, the life increase, so the market also increase. The government was put a very big pressure on the domestic consumption, So I really think the China market will sooner or later booming. And also it will be good for the plywood as well. Change 7. So the new techniques, in general, are used widely not only for the plywood industry, but later on will be also used for our plywood machinery and the technology about manufacturing also. The smart peeling, what Raute has, but can we make the smart manufacturing about the plywood industry? Things are changing, technically it's changing, the market is changing, also the requirement is changing. So we should think about how to make the private company more smart. The smart not only means for the machinery, but also for make the plywood production side, and also can meet the market requirements. So we should study and make a good designing for the, we should have a good business model. We should have this processing innovative to meet the individual requirement on the market side. Then we come to change 8, environmental products request. As we know that the traditional plywood was make out by the urea formaldehyde or phenol formaldehyde, sometimes maybe melamine phenol or melamine urea. But old formaldehyde should have something damage for our human health. Now the new technologies like used for the isocyanate, other even like for the linears, those new adhesives are more and more used and replaced by the formaldehyde glues. Especially in China market, the requirement is really high. They call the formaldehyde-free product. This kind of changing for the formaldehyde, does it have something to do with the machinery? I think yes. We should, as a raw material machinery supplier, we should think how to adopt like this isocyanate on the plywood. Can the existing glue spreader use for the isocyanate glue or not? And how to adjust the moisture content for the protein glues? And how to use the PP film for our processing, or especially for the pressing? How can the plantation small logs suit to the above use? So these are our innovative and research work for leave for the questions for you to solve. The next change is about energy saving. So nowadays, as the world request, and we are now called carbon neutral. We have organized just a meeting 2 days ago here in nearby our office in Beijing here. And actually our industry also used a lot of the energy here. And especially for our heavy machines, the pressing and the drying, how to reduce the energy use and how to self-supply, especially on the drying and the pressing. Some areas have some solution, like the drying, the energy used mostly in the dryers, and they replaced to use the natural drying. The natural dry have some good features. Of course, they can save some energy, but some places they will call that it is not good for the quality. Of course, I can agree, but it works for some place. And nowadays in China also, we are changing from the place to place for different applications. And they only use for the first high moisture content features. Now it's a combination. I will tell you a little bit more about the machinery later on. The next change is about change 10, culture products request. In different countries, different locations worldwide have different requirements. Like these are the different certifications for different countries, areas, requested on the market. So the consumer's preference request is different. And also the market supervised or the government requirement policies is different also. So how can we meet the requirement? Because the life is changing from place to place. The poor people, now they want to use, and also they are changing for becoming rich, and the living condition is changed. So the customer the preference is increased. So the market is changing. About in Asia, the requirement in Asia is it is different in the worldwide. For the environmental friendly products, I think the first should be about in Japan, because they have this F4 star certificate, which is the lowest requirement of the formaldehyde of the panel product nowadays in the worldwide on the formaldehyde glue applications. Not only formaldehyde, but also the VOC nowadays is also coming in board. So we should consider the both formaldehyde and the VOC on our product. So what were the changes in the end product requirements in the past 10 years? I think the clear changes are the combi plywood become more and more on the market. The floor base is still increasing, especially here in China. The high-end durable products is called for plywood, because the requirement is now coming higher and higher for the NOE and NORs. The secure veneer for construction or engineering products is continue. And MDF and OSB more and more replace standard plywood. That's the small diameter logs, and fast-growing wood species bring more profitability for plywood compared with the big logs used in Europe. My answer is no. I don't think this is possible, because the cost will be higher, the recovery will be lower, the full sheet is less, so it's difficult to make a good profit for the plantation logs. Of course, we need a good machinery and technologies. And also, not always meet the plywood processing data. As we can see, the raw material and the machineries is not always matched hand by hand of the processing data. That's the problem for the fast-growing small logs. So the conclusion is that the plantation hardwood plywood industry is still developing in low labor cost countries especially. The softwood secure veneer product for construction components is good. Veneer product will be more intensively made for different applications and oriented. The machinery should suit for the plantation species and meet the quality and feasible for different type of products in different countries. Traditional plywood mills should then renovated or upgrade and become more competitive. Otherwise, the traditional plywood mills will be shut down. So the last end is the profit. Both the machinery and the plywood manufacturer can make money, then we are happy.